Quickly touch on the patented technology. It's a worldwide patent, as I mentioned, I think, on very much earlier on, that we just come to this. It is worth mentioning because it makes a massive difference to the overall volume of air coming out of the systems, which means more room changes of air per hour, or air changes in the room, and it means that it's quieter. And it means that we don't have the filters coming up at the edges because we've got sort of localized pressure in the center of the filter. You'll see all this in a moment, but I don't want to bore you with this patent technology, but it is it's a big difference, and no other system uses the type of technology that we use with multiple fan designs. So it is worth just covering quickly. So we're using multiple fans, 16 fans in our largest unit. So the AXP 1600 uses 16 fans, and as you probably realized, you can now see how many fans are in each model by the model number. So the AXP 800 has 8 fans, and so on. But we use a multiple fan design. Each fan only uses 8 watts, so each motor is using just 8 watts, and that's very, very low power consumption. But because we've got multiple devices in the machine, we're able to move huge amounts of air, much more volume of air than most other, I think, well, all other systems for a similar size and footprint, and certainly for a similar power consumption. Because all other systems are using a single fan, we are the only manufacturer that use a multiple fan design, and that's why it now has a worldwide patent on it. So it achieves one of the main things that other manufacturers strive to achieve, and that is keeping the filters flat. If the filters are pulled in by a single fan in the center, they pucker up at the edges, so they bend up at the edges slightly and they pull in at the center. The problem with that is that you then get airborne matter, be it viruses or bacteria or pollen or other allergens, passing the filter and not going through the filter. Because the filter's been pulled up at the edges, the fan can suck that matter beyond the filter. It doesn't go through it, it's sucking it in front of the filter, and it goes out of the unit again and is not filtered and not removed from the air. That's a problem. So certainly in our systems we do not have that problem, and 100% of the air is filtered. So we do not want any air that does not go through the filter blowing back out again. And one of the best ways to achieve that is to have an even pressure over the entire filter pad in the unit. And these motors that we use are DC motors, so they're low power, but they're also what they call brushless, and brushless means that there's no wearing parts inside them. So there's no parts to wear. They are incredibly long life. Here's a little visual, here's a picture there of one of the actual enclosures that you can see, and the fan blades itself and the little white motor, and the air comes in the back there. So that is our DC 12 volt 8 watt brushless motor, and you get, as I said, longer life, larger air volume, and much quieter operation and low energy consumption. So all the things basically that people want to achieve, low power, nice and quiet, and long life, and lots of air from multiple fans. So quickly just looking at the patent, on the left, traditional air purifier with a single large fan enclosure in the center. On the right, that would be a 6 fan model of our Aerex Pro, so that's a 6 fan design, and we are able to move a lot more air through that design for the same size of cabinetry, as you can see, same size of plastic casing, a lot more air with 6 fans, quieter and with less energy used. And here it's just showing you obviously the air intake vents and so on. But if you look on the left, you'll see that there is a large space for drawing air where a pad filter is going to go, which we will see in a moment, and we have a large singular intake fan in the center, and that will create a problem. Here you see that problem. So on the left, look at the high density orange color in the center, and then the very whiter edges, especially at the top. They have hardly any suction pressure, and the pad will flex up at the edges, and it will be pulled in at the center where you've got a lot of air suction in the center. So it's going to be pulled in at the center, causing it to flex up at the two top edges there. Particulate matter and viruses and everything else in the air can bypass that filter. On the right, this is our design, the patented design of multiple fans. You'll see that there is very little lighter areas at all. Most of the areas are not very light at all. So we've got a nice even pressure of suction across the entire filter pad surface, and that keeps it flat, and we don't allow anything to bypass the filter in that way. So very, very important really. I mean, that's just kind of visualizing the other important parts, showing different sections. Actually the fan motors now are mentioned, but I won't go through all the detail because it's just really to get the idea of the patent across and the multiple fan design. So here is an important slide, and you're probably thinking, why have we got parts of the assembly in the slide? And this is because it is sometimes a question that you may get from customers. So we've included this one just as a kind of a little education process for everybody to understand how the two different types of base, or how the main plastic bases are fitted onto the unit, and what's the difference between the ABS plastic base that are included with the three smaller systems and the optional glass base for the two larger systems. Okay, so here we see this is the how to fix the plastic base, the ABS plastic base that comes with an AXP 200, 400 or 800 model. So if you look at the upper right, you'll see that there are two blue plastic clips, and they pass through the base and they clip it in place initially to hold it in place while you screw it. So it's quite a nice system. We've got the clips on there. If you're going to have a larger model, a 1600 or 1200, the base part on that does not have those blue clips. They are removed at the factory. Okay, they're actually removed at the factory before packaging, and that is because the glass base does not have the square holes in it for those clips. It just has 4 screw holes, and they're not there. And the reason I want to tell you this is because you may get the question, and we've had a question from customers saying there are no clips to hold the glass base in place, and that's because there are no holes for the clips to go through in the glass base. If you had the clips on there, you would need holes. Otherwise, when you offer the glass base up to the base, those clips, if they still remain on the bottom of the unit, will stop the glass base being fixed and screwed on to the bottom of the unit. All right, I just wanted to show you that, just so you understand the difference basically. So attaching the glass base, so as I said, the AXP 1200 and AXP 1600 have an optional glass base. Plastic clips are not used, and the nice silver metallic glass base can be attached with no obstruction because the plastic clips have been removed at the factory, and that is why they remove them. The silver glass bases that are optional, they're not expensive, but they're optional because obviously the larger units can kind of lend themselves more to wall mounting really. But if people want the bases, as I say, they're inexpensive and they can be ordered as an accessory. AXP base is the part code, simple part code. You attach that with 4 screws which are supplied, and that screws directly into the base of the unit through the glass base and into the base of the unit, and it's all supplied in the box. So we've got specification details here for all of the models, and I won't go through all of these because there's lots of specs, but every specification is there on the list, and we cover all 5 models, and there's a couple of rear views as well just to show you the filter cover, the rear of the system, which is just nice to see. On the bottom right of all of these 5 specification slides, you'll see that the area covered in square meters, the recommended area for the room size, is on the bottom right hand side. Okay, so that's the AXP 400, the AXP 800, AXP 1200 and the AXP 1600. That's our flagship model. That model is, as you can see, 1.8 meters high, and it's absolutely staggering to look at. It's fantastic. It's quite a piece. but again, only 12 centimeters deep, so absolutely amazing. The area that that unit can cover in a room is 240 square meters, and that's a pretty big room, pretty big area. So quite impressive. But so you've got 5 full specification slides there as well. And this is it. So finally, we come to our last slide. And I would like to thank you for all your attention and just go through this very quickly with you, because this is some important, useful information for you reselling it to your customers. The NHS are using hundreds of these systems. Several hundred of the systems are in use at COVID testing stations, indoor COVID testing stations. So these are like porter cabins, temporary buildings, or makeshift buildings that they're using now for COVID testing, and each one has an AXP unit in it to protect the staff and to protect the patients while they're having their COVID test. So and there are hundreds of those in use already around the country. And the other big user of our products at the moment is Bupa. Bupa Dental Care have over 1,000 systems already and have ordered many more, which we have yet to deploy for them. But they have over 1,000 systems already in Bupa Dental Care practices around the UK, and that includes Northern Ireland and actually Southern Ireland as well. Some systems have gone into Southern Ireland as well, and we've shipped them to all of the different addresses for them, so they've gone everywhere.